What the? Hey everybody, welcome back to Not Hooks. My name is Jesse Morrison, and today we're gonna go over springer techniques on the Columbia River. Check it out. All right, today I got my buddies back with me. I got Stefan and Clint with me, and we're gonna kind of go over springer tactics on the Columbia River. It's a really cool subject because it's kind of magical getting out on the Columbia River for a lot of you guys that are out there. And when you're out there to catch a big Chinook, it's awesome. So let's kind of run through some stuff, and I'm gonna get these guys' opinion as well because we all kind of have a different way of doing things. But let's dive into it. So for me, I kind of stick to one set of gear for me. I run a 40-pound leader, and I'm usually always running a spinner and then a double hook setup. Sometimes I'll run beads, sometimes I won't run beads. As you can see, I even have a hoochie on here. I don't normally run a hoochie on that river, but every once in a while, if I want to throw something different, I'll try it out. But I normally don't. Not to say it doesn't work, but yeah. So this is the setup. Let me take it off here to kind of show you guys a better view here. So you don't run beads on yours, do you?
I run beads up top, but I don't run beads between the hooks.
Why do you do that?
I just like that free trail hook out back with no bead interruption between, and you know, that cut plug just flopping at that perfect spin with no interruption down the side.
Right.
And my blade, just the bigger blade up front, giving a little bit more thump to it.
Gotcha.
That's the only reason. I don't really have a good reason for not running them or versus running them like you do. It just, my personal preference is to not run in between the hooks.
So not only are you running the blade and the double hooks, but you're also running bait.
Correct.
Right.
Yep.
And what size of bait are you guys running?
Green label usually.
And I'm more of a red or orange on the Columbia, but I pretty much stick with a Harbor Herring.
Yep.
I really like that company. They put out really good bait.
Patrick's a good dude.
Oh, yeah. Name drop.
Yeah.
Right,
Patrick Gaffney with Harbor Herring. He usually does a pretty good job of getting set up with it, or proper herring.
Their stuff's great. Like normally I have to go into the freezer. I don't mean to get off topic, but I'll go through the freezer and I have to like look through it. And the store managers are usually looking at me because the freezer is wide open. There's a stack on this side while I'm trying to find the ones that don't have bloodshot eyes or, or whatever.
Yeah.
And with them, I can usually open the freezer and be like, kind of give it the light test. Be like,
yep.
All right, put it in my bag and I'm out the door.
Yeah.
But to kind of reiterate this, I don't normally run beads when I'm doing herring because I'll use this trailer hook. I'll run it through, and having beads on there obviously makes it harder if you're doing bait.
Yep.
But surprisingly, last year I got more hits running beads. At least the better half of the day in the evening. By the morning was bait. It was a bait show with the spinner. Same setup with no beads. Because obviously when you're running this trailer bead through your bait, and then it comes out, and then you hook this one towards the spinal column where it's at that angle, this cuts through. So this kind of does go through. Trying to run beads through it obviously would be a mess. So, but man, I'm really hooked to running beads in the evening for me. So yeah, I'm running a 40-pound test. I use the 100% fluorocarbon. I'm pretty much a fluorocarbon guy for most of my leaders, and I'm sure you guys probably would agree on that. What poundage do you run?
I stick to the same thing I do in the sound.
So you're more of a 30-pound?
30 pound.
Yeah, 30 to 40.
30 to 40? Okay.
One difference on my leaders I would make a difference personally is on your top hook, running a wide gap. So when you run that out the back of the herring, you get more protrusion out the back.
That's what you're saying. I have not ran the wide gap. As you can see, this setup, it's basically like the big river where the shank and the actual the throat of the hook,
yep.
It's bent over slightly. They call them big river hooks. Brad's. I was a big Gamakatsu guy, but I kind of switched over to Brad's just for price, and I've never broken a Brad's hook.
No. But just for that reason, like if I was putting a green label on this, that front hook is not even really going to protrude out the back of that herring. So when that fish hits, how's he going to get stuck?
Right.
Versus if you have a wide gap and you've got a 1/4 inch of protrusion at least, when he crushes down on that herring, he's got that much more opportunity to stick.
Gotcha. Now that you say that, I think most of my takedowns have been in the back. So maybe that makes sense. And I'll start checking that out. Let's go over colors. Stefan, do you have like a personal go-to at all?
Brighter colors, it seems. The oranges. A lot of your chartreuse, though, you really can't go wrong with chartreuse in big water, salt water, fresh water. I mean, stick with the basics.
Right. Especially if you run something.
Sorry, I just lost my shit.
No, you're good. You're good. So what's your favorite color?
Well, white is obviously one of my personal favorites across the board, no matter what I'm doing. Next up for salmon in general, I would say chartreuse. Just like if I was running plugs for fall kings in the river, I mean, what's your go-to? It's going to be 90% of the time somebody's going to pick a lemon head plug.
Right.
So chartreuse in front of my herring on a blade is going to be a go-to with the white. It's just two colors that are hard to beat.
So what size is this blade? Is that a 4.5 or 45 or?
I honestly don't even remember.
It's crazy. Like,
got a bunch of them in the box, but it's bigger than you would standardly see on
you got a tape in your pocket? We got inch and a half. It's an inch and a half. Okay.
But I like the more thump it provides.
Right.
The bait. It stirs up the water more, creates more, variation in everything. The bait itself even.
Right.
And it seems to produce more bites for myself.
I don't have any of these. I want to try it this year. Okay, well, yeah, no, that's awesome. I spend all this money on custom painted stuff, and they're great, and they fish, they work. I'm not saying anything against it, but you're just running a flat color.
Just flat colors.
It's white with nothing on it.
Just changing it up, because my main presentation is my bait.
Right.
That's true. Secondary. That's the blade is just giving me those added effects that I'm looking for that the bait itself can't.
Okay. That's good to know, because like you said, people, I think, including myself, sometimes I'll focus on stuff. I'm like, oh, that's cool for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about the fish, but I really like it.
Well, in the water, when you have the bait behind that,
I'm a sucker. I can't help it.
When that's in the water and the bait's behind it, I mean,
You're
how
looking at
much
the
are you
bait.
looking at that blade?
That was just the initial attracting.
That's got some green.
That brings up a good point. It's about presentation. It's not necessarily about the flash, but it's about your bait behind this, and this is just an effect essentially.
Yep. Exactly.
It has nothing to do with the actual fishing other than just an ancillary background noise.
Exactly.
Right.
Putting vibration in the water, turning everything else up around it, and it's white in the water shows up pretty dang well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
so it's giving it that much effect there on its own.
Well, in all clearness of water, clear, dark.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah,
it's a great all-around color. That's one of my reasons for the flasher. I'm using that to attract the fish, but they've got to be able to see it.
Yeah, they're not hitting the flasher, they're hitting the bait.
So.
Well, that brings me to the leader size. So for me, and I know we all have different opinions about this, I'm running about a 32-inch leader for mine. I know that this is across the board, and this is not like a standardized size, because I'll type different leaders because certain days may be different. The small adjustment could make or break your day, as you would say. So, I mean, what size leader do you normally run?
Usually in the past it's been a little bit longer, right around 40, 42. It really depends on what part of the Columbia you're fishing. Are you on buoy 10? Are you upriver? Slow water, fast water? It really depends on the action you're looking for.
Clarity, yeah.
Clarity.
Absolutely.
If the water's dirty, 42 inches behind the flasher, well, you might not see the flasher much in a lot of
Yeah.
situations. So, you know, running at that 30, 32, 36 is going to be a lot more effective if you're actually using the flasher as an attractant. You
Right.
know, they get the bait in the flasher, but you know, it's not like you're running it in clear Puget Sound water where you need a little bit of separation because
Right.
the water is so clear.
So let's say a typical day, just for people at home watching, like, what would be a good general rule for leader size? Because like you said, there's a lot of different situations, but if a guy doesn't fish very often, he wants to get out there, what would be just like, it's an all around, like, hey, this would be a pretty safe slot to be in. I mean, plus or minus 5 inches.
Personally, if I'm going down for my first trip, I'd probably start at 36.
36.
So I was gonna say 36 too.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, and I fish a little bit shorter. I love my 32s. They produce for me, but like I said,
You can always cut line off.
I can always cut line off or add line.
You can always throw a bead chain and add yourself 12 inches.
Right.
Yeah.
So
You know,
really
a lot
easy.
back in the day, a lot of the times you used to tie a bead chain in between anyways.
right.
You used to have, you know, 12 inches of leader before your flasher with a bead chain in the middle of that.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we're talking many, many years ago, but that used to be a big thing that we used to do.
Okay.
Now I just run my bead chain at my flasher clip.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, and I do that too once in a while, especially if I'm like, I want to switch it quickly
Yep.
without having to do
Exactly.
too much work.
Yeah.
Just snap, you're on there.
Yep.
All right. So let's talk about flashers. My favorite for me is I'll run one of 3, and sometimes I will run the triangle flashers on the Columbia every once in a while if I'm in really shallow water. But for me, I like the moon jelly on the complete chrome dipped short bus, or the chrome short bus. And then in the mornings, like at first light, I really like either just the moon jelly, like this guy here, or a little color offset with a moon jelly foil. Seems to really be the trick in the morning. I'm not in evening too. I should say evening as well. But what do you normally run? I mean, do you have a go-to for that, or
My go-to flasher for any salmon fishing is the white moon jelly.
that is just
It's-
your all
If
around?
it's either going to be that or a green frame, but
Gotcha.
I mean, every time I start fishing, I'm going to drop a white down
Morning and evening.
any time of the day.
How about you?
That's interesting. That's good to know.
Yeah, you're like converting us something. I'm like, although
Well-
the chrome dipped.
Well, no, there's so many different styles. I mean, you know, you got the red racers, you have the, you know, all 5 million different.
Purple hazes.
Yeah,
And
Yeah, you know,
watermelon. I mean,
and
it's-
whichever one works for you. Obviously, the white works for you on the Puget Sound as well as the Columbia. You
Yeah.
know, other colors work for other people, but
right.
you know, a good starting point seems like something that's a brighter color than, let's say, a green first thing in the morning.
Right.
Yeah.
Something
Yeah.
that will attract attention.
And
And one thing I wanted to bring up, and you spoke on a different video about this, is you're not fishing for that once in a while fish. You're fishing for putting fish in the boat on an average.
Yeah, consistent.
Consistency. And if you find something that does it, I wouldn't recommend going away from it, you guys. And so this guy here, this has been one of my go-tos, but I try other stuff as well. If they have them at the store and someone doesn't go in front of you and take them all, these ones, they produce. This is one of my favorites as well, but I always want to try new stuff, and sometimes that could be a flaw for me when I'm fishing instead of perfecting what I know. But if you guys are new to fishing, or even, you know, experienced fishers, this is the one you guys are gonna want. I mean, these, I'm so torn because like this one has a special place in my heart too.
Oh yeah,
I don't
we
know.
all have them. You know, this is mine.
Right.
You know, that's the one that I go to.
Right.
It doesn't matter if I'm out off of Cape of Lava, out at Nia Bay. It doesn't matter if I'm in the Puget Sound, I'm down at Buoy 10 or Cathlamet, or if I'm at Hanford Reach.
Right.
If I'm gonna go target salmon and use a flasher, this is the first flasher I'm gonna put on.
Right.
And you know, unless it's not working, it's gonna stay on.
And how often does it not work?
Uh,
How often do you change that out from white to green?
Last year I never changed it.
Wow, that's
That's
says
the honest truth.
Dang. All right. Well,
There's a reason there's so many in my book.
right.
Is
I
it
know.
is consistent for me.
sure.
Yeah. There's also a reason why they're not on the shelf sometimes.
I run into the same problem. That's why I have to buy them.
Yeah,
when they're
I'm
there.
burned. He went in before me and took them all, and he ran to his car. And he knew exactly what was going on.
You know what?
But
I guess I've got one. I can just use one.
I'll trade you one of mine. Here, I'll give you one of these guys. These guys are awesome.
You better give him the shiny one.
I don't want to give him the shiny one. No.
Oh, there's the name for you. It's white anchovy.
All right, you can have this one.
Oh, I don't need it. I've got
White anchovy, you guys. Hot spot. And I'm a short bus guy. So
Well, I'm pretty sure you could probably make that too, right? They sell
yeah,
tape.
Oh yeah,
You could
Oh, yeah.
buy a
you can
white
do it.
hotspot and
and you
yeah.
notice this one does not have grooves on the back, or excuse me, fins
Fix-
rather.
I can't stand them.
Really?
No,
too much of a.
See, there's
I just
I love them.
oh, I don't know what's wrong.
Okay, okay. You know, we're trying. Hey, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Anytime.
I'll make it up. So I guess the last thing besides our fishing pole and reel is weights. I think we're pretty close on the same grounds for what weights to use, unless you're at the mouth where you got some strong currents. But
It's also going to vary. You know, your guide boats run a lot of heavier
oh yeah,
weights.
they're running 12s.
They're running 12s, 16s. But when you're running 6 to 8 rods out of the boat, you kind of you
Yeah,
got to do
you
what
need
you
Kind
got
of forced. Yeah.
Versus, you know,
For
the average guy out there is running 2 to 4.
Right.
You know, you can get away with a lot lighter.
yeah, I'm usually running an 8. I mean, 9 times out of 10, I'm running an 8 or a 6. Like I said, once in a while I'll go to 10. I've only had to go to 12s if I'm in some really strong, you know, tide change at the mouth or something. But I pretty much that's mostly my go-to. How about you?
Yeah, no, that's it. You know,
It's pretty simple for me at least.
Yeah. Personally, I don't think I own one bigger than a 10.
You don't need to.
Don't need to.
We kind of spoke about this off camera, but these weight slides that go above your bead chain on your main line, I prefer the longer ones too, but I didn't want to run with my boat and grab a pack out of there. But this is a short barrel one, which these are fun. I'll use this one too. This keeps it from getting messed up on your line. And I usually throw a bead in front and behind. The behind one's more of an indicator, knowing I'm getting close to the tip of my pole. This one's more to protect the knot on your bead chain. So you definitely want to be putting a bead, like a 5 mil bead or 6 mil bead, even 8. I mean, you can put bigger beads on there too. Throw a bead in front of each one. It's more, like I said, for an indicator. You're getting ready to net, or if you have someone with you, you tell them, you know, all right, it's time to start pulling up to get ready to net it. So you definitely want to have one of these, otherwise it's fixed. But running fixed is dangerous, because when you go to net, and you guys stop me if you think it's different, if this gets caught in that net and the fish decides to run, it'll break it off. If this is on your line, it can run, and you have a second chance to get it back in your net.
Yep.
So I strongly recommend running these. They're cheap, they're small, they're easy, and if they get caught, it breaks it off here. As long as you don't go too heavy of a snap. Let me show you that snap. So if you have a really light snap, like this one, I think is like a 30 or 40 pound. So, and I'm running 50-pound braid. So if you just want to find something that's lighter than your actual main tackle. So, but yeah, definitely run one of these. If you guys have any questions, throw them in the comments for weights and stuff. But that's pretty much it. Before we get to poles, I got one more thing, and I want your guys' opinions as well, because I'm sure a lot of people at home want to know. You see a lot of guys out there anchor. There's nothing wrong with anchoring, but for me, I don't really like to anchor. I like to fish for fish. One reason for me is if there's a strong tide chain, change, not chain, tide. Anyways, when the water's coming in, all the fish seem to slam against the side of the riverbanks. So I'm fishing within a, 50-yard imaginary line off the sides. And when it's slack or slower tide, it'll be more suspended, kind of run through the middle. So I'm not really, anchored up. Do you guys anchor up a lot when you go?
I'm trolling.
I
trolling
want to troll.
from one bank to the other down the side channels usually. I'm not a big main stem stream troller either.
Right.
There's, down by Cathlam, and I always go onto the Oregon side in the channel, and I just troll.
Well, we don't want to drop any areas here for these. Just disregard the location. Just kidding. No.
I mean, it's one of those things.
Oh yeah, no, everyone knows that area.
Everybody knows the area. Everybody, everybody has their own baits, their own gear, their own everything. This is just what I do, and it's successful.
Yeah, I like it because it gives you a little more. If you know what the fish are doing, it kind of, even though it's a big river, you can hone it down to a small spot. Like, strong tide. I'm going to boot my boat. Like I said, it's that imaginary 50 to 100 yards from the bank. And I just zigzag to try and find them along that shoreline.
Yep.
And then, like I said, if it's a slower tide, I'll go search for them and little potholes and stuff.
If you anchor, you can miss them by 5 feet.
Yeah.
Nothing's
wrong with anchoring.
If you're trolling back and forth, every pass, you have an option in that path that they're traveling.
Right.
Where that path exactly is. And, in a lot of smaller streams too, when we're fishing fall, which same thing in the spring, sometimes they'll go up a path single file. One fish right after another on that same line every time. If your bait's not within a foot of it, you're not going to catch a fish.
That's crazy.
It's sad to say, but that's the honest truth.
Right.
Is it can come down to that kind of effect. So trolling to me gives me the most amount.
You're hunting.
Yeah, the highest success rate possible by not being stationary.
Yeah.
Now, if you bomb your anchor on that perfect line, well, you'll be done in 5 minutes. But the odds of that happening versus the guy that's trolling crossing that line every 5 minutes is success rate's a little bit.
Yeah. Right. And you don't really see guidebooks anchored.
No, they do, but
they do if they want to have lunch.
Yep.
About it.
Yeah. Or there's only one deckhand, so you kind of have to, which I get. And you still catch fish. And I'm not saying you won't catch fish doing that, but I'm just saying this is kind of my technique. It sounds like it's something you do, and I'm sure
some guys are really good at anchor fishing.
I can't do it.
They've done it long enough. They know exactly what they need to do, and they know where to be successful in their boat.
Yeah.
Without that experience and everything else, especially if you're just starting out, trolling is going to give you, a catch rate that's better on it.
Yeah. Then, and that's probably, I think you hit it perfectly, is I have more experience trolling, because I'm impatient, I don't know, but than anchoring. So
trolling's more fun. Let's just admit it.
Yep.
I like to take down of a troll. So
yep.
I love it. All right. Well, I think we've covered everything except for poles, but you want to throw out some poles that you prefer to use?
I like a 9 foot, 15 to 30.
How about you?
Yeah. Medium, heavy, medium.
Yep.
I usually tend a little bit longer of a rod, more close to like 9.5, 10, but you can use pretty much anything.
Yeah. Anything with a good tip and some backbone, but sure. when you've got a crazy fish on, you can absorb all that.
You definitely don't want to go too light. You're running
8 ounces of lead,
8 ounces of lead, a flasher. You definitely need some weight behind it.
I like my Lamiglas battle glass on that river. It's just, man, it's good. I have a bunch of other rods too, but those are the ones I usually rig up first. So going on the reel, obviously, it may not be obvious, I shouldn't say that, but you want to have a line counter. You want to know where your stuff's at from your boat. I think it's a really important thing. Have a good line counter, make sure it's calibrated. You can always check it. Some of them get off over time. They're usually pretty good out of the box, but I have got one that was off straight out of the box, but I just got replaced. But, a good line counter, 3000 series or bigger. I wouldn't go under a 3 unless you have a bet with your friends. You can still catch fish with smaller ones, but
Really, I think it comes down to the break. I mean, yeah, you could have a fish that runs a bunch, but
if you have a
really
boat,
it's
you can
about
chase
the
it.
break, and yeah, you can chase it, you know.
Thanks for watching, guys. We kind of covered everything for the springers on the Columbia River, the techniques, and all the type of gear that we're using and how and why we're using it. If you like the video, please subscribe and like the channel. And if you have any comments, drop them down below, because we're always curious to see what you guys are running too. We can always learn stuff. Other than that, catch some fish, and I will see you guys on the water. All right, today I have some awesome All right, today I got some awesome people with me. On the left of me, I have. I almost said Kurt. You smart. Oh, okay. No, I want to know. I want to know Patrick too.
Yeah, exactly.
Me bringing you guys all kinds of awesome footage this summer and the last tail end of winter here in the Pacific. What? Fuck. Okay, hold on. Thanks for watching, guys. My name's Jesse. One more time. Okay. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you guys loved everything that we had out here.
Sorry, I've been sitting on that part all day.
Oh, dude, that's fine. That's fine.